have one of these. Well, it's time for another drink from the trolley. Will it be another winter warmer? Will it be another 0% alcohol? Well, let's find out. Sister Suze, what are you offering us today from the pub?
Well, I feel like Matt will really like this one. I had it at the weekend. It's a gin, Cambridge Dry gin. Mm-hmm. You can have it with tonic, lots of ice, and I would put a fresh mint sprig in there as your garnish.
I thought you were going to say mince pie.
Why not put one in?
Mince pie on the side if you've got some left.
So that's a fully alcoholic suggestion.
It is a fully alcoholic suggestion.
Okay.
That'll do.
January has turned already. Today's confession comes from Naughty Nobby. That's how he signed it.
Oh,
Naughty Nobby, thank you very much. Simon and the Confessional Collective. It was 2005 at the Bash Street High School of Information Technology. After 5 years, we had established ourselves as the masters of mischief before focusing on important stuff like coursework and revising for our GCSEs. We had one more prank to enact. And you know what we think of pranks on this show.
We love them. That's what we think about them, isn't it? Oh, no.
Months earlier, one of the senior leaders typed their password into the username field when logging onto a whiteboard. He thought we hadn't seen it, but we did. We logged into the school's public website as this senior leader, who had administrative privileges. We proceeded to change those dreadful fake smiley pictures of the entire leadership team. To name a few, the brutal headmistress became Miss Trunchbull from Matilda, the ruthless deputy head became Napoleon Bonaparte, and the unhinged Year 9 head, Captain Haddock from Tintin, the latter being the spitting image of his namesake, though a vile temper, black beard and his polo neck jumpers. You get the general idea. I wish this was the confession, with me seeking forgiveness for how it took them several days to notice, and for the scrutiny the information and technology specialist school's cybersecurity got from the local authority's educational department. But it is not.
But it is not.
Oh, dear.
For the Year 9s and their leader, Cheeky Charlie, were not content to let us leave gracefully. Upon entering school on a snowy day, 3 of the sports fields had enormous, indecent images melted into the snow using the school's own grit supplies. The 4th field had my name and a smiley face. These images were so large, passing planes could have seen them. They then swiftly reprimanded my crew and me. Ignoring our pleas of innocence, we were sentenced to 3 weeks of lunch and after-dinner school detention. And so began Operation Legacy. It started with borrowing a key to the technology workshop. My crew distracted the lab technician, Mr. Pye, by inciting one of his boring monologues about how exciting his home extension was. Every teacher has a trigger like that.
Yeah.
This allowed me to sneak into a back room to access a spare key to the key cabinet. The next morning, we used the said key to enter the locked classroom, where Cheeky Charlie and his crew could commence their lesson at 9:15. Searching the metal storage cabinets, we located the Year 9 autumn term project, which was constructing alarm clocks. There were exactly 385 of them.
Okay.
Mischief managed. We locked the classroom door from the inside, returned the borrowed key, and mixed up all storage cabinet keys before exiting through the fire door, which closed shut from the outside. 9:15 came. We're in a classroom close to the Year 9s and, more importantly, the unhinged head of Year 9, Captain Haddock's office. It was also in the hallway. The 15 minutes we waited seemed like a lifetime, but at 9:30, hundreds of alarm clocks rang out. They jumped and rattled within the metal cabinet, echoing like an army of tin-clad knights clumsily bouncing down a cobbled street with boxes of bells. Okay. Captain Haddock threw open his door, roaring words to the effect of billions of blue blistering barnacles. The technology teacher, dear old Mr. Peaches, came out stuttering, "The key doesn't work." That's my voice.
It is.
Done.
Yeah.
Eyewitnesses claim that after failed attempts to open the cabinet, Captain Haddock called out, "Fetch me a hammer and chisel," and broke
that
it.
voice has changed. Anyway, go on. Yeah.
No, that was Mr. Peaches before.
Right.
The key doesn't work.
No,
That's
the
Mr.
one you used
Peaches.
for the captain. It doesn't matter. Anyway, go. Carry on.
Fetch a hammer and chisel.
Hammer and chisel, he said.
And broke it open, beginning the process of diffusing the alarms one by one. Cheeky Charlie and a few of his crew were reprimanded and dragged into the corridor. Their protests of innocence were ignored. Now, some listeners may be thinking, hang on, 385 alarm clocks are a lot to put in one metal storage cabinet, and they would be correct. There was a second cabinet whose alarms had been set to go off 15 minutes later.
Oh, no.
It was during Captain Haddock's deranged rant at Cheeky Charlie that round 2 began, inducing a door-shaking, inaudible roar from the head of Year 9. Entering the workshop, he and Mr. Peach, they don't work, followed the same process, failing to find the right key, breaking open the cabinet and manually disarming the alarm clocks one by one. Being older and wiser, unhinged can easily be mistaken for on the edge of a nervous breakdown, and we hope Captain Haddock as well. The sincerest apologies goes to Mr. Peach, it doesn't work, and Mr. Pie, who were the sweetest and kindest of teachers. We hope they and all the good teachers suffered no lasting harm from our antics during months and all the years prior. We like to think we kept the pupils and staff from entertained and perhaps, here's the really tough one, convinced your team, Father Simon, about the wider benefits of a good, forgivable prank.
Yes.
Well, I mean, you might think that they're forgivable. Brilliant.
Wow,
fade.
what a fade that was.
That was good.
Billy
Smooth.
Boxing Glove strikes again.
I think so.
You might think it's forgivable, naughty nobby, but let's check it with Sister Suze, who is never impressed with a prank ever.
No, I don't really like a prank. And like the history beforehand of the many, many pranks that you've done just made me not want to forgive the one prank you're asking for forgiveness for.
I think we edited out quite a few as well.
Yeah, I just feel like it's very clever and, nice to have the alarm clocks in 2 cabinets and set the alarms off 15 minutes later and da-da-da-da-da-da. Well done. But no, naughty Nobby, I don't forgive you because it's wasting time. You should be learning in school.
I think they're about to leave. They're kind of given up for the day, really.
Still.
Brother
Not
Matthew.
So I'm going to forgive, and I'm going to file this one under hostage to fortune. What school decides to do a project where you have to make an alarm clock and then stores all those alarm clocks on the premises? Feels like a hostage to fortune to me. Don't go along those roads. I also felt very Ocean's 11 this, with if George Clooney had been painting naughty pictures on a football pitch and other things like that. So, so that all works. And the Captain Haddock got what he deserved, didn't he? All of the blistering barnacles. So, for all of those reasons, I'm going to forgive.
Because
of all those reasons.
So many.
Okay, it's the
very
people's
good reasons.
verdict. However, do you forgive naughty Nobby? On the text, please, 61054. First word is Simon. Just before the news, a confession from the Bash Street School of Information Technology. A tale of rude images in the snow, hacking the school computer, and 385 alarm clocks. Year 9's project, all going off in metal cabinets. The people's verdict is in.
Forgiven, says Jim. Naughty Nobby's just having a laugh, and he was only a kid. I think it was actually very creative. The alarm clock prank, not the naughty drawings in the snow. Linda says, though, not forgiven. I can just imagine the noise of over 300 alarm clocks going off at the same time. What a headache. And for that reason alone, I can't forgive. And John in Leeds says, not forgiven. As a teacher myself, I'd have hit the roof if someone put a bunch of alarm clocks in a cupboard.
Well, now, it may well be that. Thank you very much for the verdicts and thank you for the confessions. And if you have one, please do tell us and send it to confessions@greatesthitsradio.co.uk. First of all, though, we need a drink of something. Dry January finished yesterday, I think, as far as Suze was concerned in the pub. What are you offering us today?
Well, we've got a mixture. I have got another alcohol-free for you today, but this one's, I would say, quite divisive. Cinder Toffee Stout. Alcohol-free. So, New Bristol Brewery, it's won lots of awards, but they've brought out a alcohol-free version described as liquidized crunchy bars in a stout.
Okay.
What more could you want?
I mean, I'm intrigued and I would taste it, but I might prefer to have a crunchy and then a proper stout. And a Guinness, maybe.
Yes.
Delicious.
All right, well, today's confession comes from Eunice. I don't think we've had a Eunice send in a confession before. Father Simon and the Confessional Collective. It's about the early 80s when I was at a secondary school in the south side of Glasgow, which was well known for producing a few Celtic players and a few well-known actors.
Oh.
However, says Eunice, I am neither an actor nor a footballer for Celtic.
Right.
However, at the time, one of my subjects that I enjoyed was domestic science, later known as food and nutrition. Before that, I think it was called cooking.
Yes.
I was about 15 years old and enjoyed the cooking lessons. We were a class of about 13 girls who were all paired up except for myself, and I liked having my own area and working on my own. However, that week's lesson we had one girl who was off. As I started prepping my area, the teacher thought we'd saved putting on an oven and moved me to work with a girl called Anne. I thought, okay, well, I'll share with Anne then, particularly as Anne was the best baker in the class. We joked that she would give Mr. Kipling a run for his money. Yeah. So we began the lesson and we were making butterfly cakes. Now, every cooking lesson at school involved several dishes where all the ingredients were laid out in front of us. And we had a lot of plates. We began our mixing and I got my 12 cakes in paper cases and ready for the oven, and I did it before Anne. As I went to pop mine onto the top rack of the oven, Anne came behind me and said, This is my cooking area, so my cakes go on the top rack. Oh. You can have the bottom. This is how they speak in the south side of Glasgow.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
I'm on the top and you can have the bottom. Thanks very much. Feeling a bit miffed, I slotted my cakes into the bottom rack only to see them slide down at an angle because the bottom rack was wonky. I felt very annoyed.
Oh dear, wonky rack.
As I got back to the table, the teacher asked Anne to make the buttercream for our butterfly cakes. She also announced that I would have to wash Anne's dishes as well as mine. By now, I am really, really annoyed. How dare she make me do this? There's a lot of dishes and containers to wash. It was all made worse by Anne taking her time with the cream, so I had dried the dishes and put them away. I was not in a good mood. As I got to the table, I heard the cooker timer go off. But as Anne was incapacitated making buttercream, I opened the oven. I looked in to see Anne's cakes had risen beautifully and were all identical, like in Bake Off. I looked down to the bottom rack to see my cakes, all misshaped due to being cooked at a slant, also sometimes seen on Bake Off. Yeah. I'm sure they were burnt on one side and raw on the other. I felt very disappointed. I turned my head round and Anne was busy faffing about with the buttercream, poncing around. She wasn't paying attention, so I did something I shouldn't have done, but hey, I swapped the cakes around. Her tray was now my tray. Now my cakes were a sensation, and hers were the wonky failures. I said, "Oh, Anne, look at your cakes. What's happened?" Her face, again,
it's a very, very
Southern Glasgow.
South Glasgow.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
Her face fell. At this point, the teacher ventured over. She got really cross that her little star baker had failed to produce the goods on this occasion. She then started praising me and said, "Look at Eunice's cakes. Aren't they amazing? Anne, what has happened to yours?" I said, "What has?" I lapped it up. This has never happened before. I enjoyed the situation and I enjoyed the attention. I looked at Anne and her crestfallen look. She kept saying that she couldn't believe what had happened. This had never happened to her before. Needless to say, I buttercreamed those beautiful cakes and enjoyed them one by one. I think the other cakes went in the bin, or possibly sent home with Anne so she could correct the error of her ways for next time. Each one tasted of bitter tears.
And buttercream.
And buttercream. And sour grapes. I asked for forgiveness for misleading my then teacher, Miss Duffy, and forgiveness for duping Anne, who did in fact become an amazing baker when she left school. I'd like to think I contributed to pushing herself to be better and never fail like she thought she had done on that particular occasion, but she hadn't. But hey, I was the star baker just for one day and it felt great. Sister Susie, what do you say to Eunice?
Well, Eunice, I feel like maybe I should say that you shouldn't swap your cakes, but I'm going to say, who wouldn't have done the same?
I think
in
everybody
that
would have done the
situation?
same, yes.
I feel like everyone would have swapped them, and maybe Anne should have been a bit nicer and offered to help, and maybe she deserved what she got. So I'm on Eunice's side, and I'm going to forgive today.
Okay, all right. Very interesting, Brother Matthew.
Yes, I agree with Susie. I'm going to forgive tonight. Number one, why did she have to wash all the dishes? That doesn't make it. That's not fair at all.
No.
And whilst Anne's doing all the buttercream, that's not fair. Unless Anne was doing the buttercream for both of them, but I don't think she was. So yes, I'm definitely forgiving. I mean, in fact, I'm going to forgive just for the phrase "poncing about with the buttercream." That's going to be a first.
Yes.
We've not done that in the confessions before, have we? So yes, forgiven for all those reasons.
Okay, people's verdict, please. Do you forgive Eunice? Yes or no? People's verdict, 61054. First word is Simon. Just before the news, an epic tale, a confession from Eunice about domestic science in a Southside Glasgow school in the early 1980s. And Anne was the star baker, but this time she had to lose out because all the wonky cakes were accredited to her because I think she was being a little bit too presumptuous.
Yes.
And the people's verdict came in like this.
And everyone is forgiving tonight. Danny says forgiven. Anne was bossy and patronising. I can't believe Eunice ended up washing the dishes. Rude. Kerry and Banstead, I have to forgive this. I can't believe she made Eunice have the wonky rack in the oven and got her to wash the dishes.
Yes.
Anne needed taking down a peg or two.
That happened.
And Ruth in North Manchester says, I forgive. We had one like Anne back at our school, and my, how we laughed at her downfall.
Do you think every class has an Anne?
I think so,
I think
yeah,
probably does.
yes.
Anyway, maybe Anne had the last laugh because she went on, according to Eunice, to be a star baker.
Yes.
Anyway. So, thank you very much indeed for the verdicts. Thank you for the confessions. Send yours to confessions@greatesthitsradio.co.uk. Let's bring on the drinks trolley and see what we're going to get today. Anything exciting and cool, or does the dry January continue? What's going on?
Well, I thought I did non-alcoholic yesterday, so
Yes.
I'm going to do an alcoholic one today. And I thought a very lovely Pinot Noir from the Ticano estate in New Zealand would
Okay.
go down a treat.
Very nice. Half pint?
No, just a glass.
Small glass, thank you very much. Today's confession comes from Andy. I know what Matt is going to say,
Forgiven.
Ooh, forgiven.
Probably.
inevitably. Father Simon, Sister Holly, Sister Susie, and Father Matt round the outside, round the outside, round the outside.
Very good.
Me and my parents have lived in the Dordogne region in the southwest of France since 2008. I really don't know if I'm going to get a new smart speaker since we don't get Greatest Hits Radio over here. You do if you have the Rayo app, of course.
Yes, of course.
But I've been listening to your often hilarious Confessions podcast since last year on Spotify, where it is available worldwide. And that's why I'm sending my story in. My mum used to listen to your show as well when she was younger.
What a joke. That's nice to know.
On the drive back from work, possibly somewhere else. Yes, I think so. I think that was somewhere else.
Okay.
During the early months of us living in the peaceful French countryside, in the southwest of the country, there'd been a massive storm one night that was so strong, a wild boar came charging out from the forest, entering our garden, and we had to hide indoors to stay safe. I have to say, I think this is the first time a wild boar has appeared.
This is good.
Other than the presenter of the show,
Hey!
in the Confessions history. The French neighbour's father and son chased the boar away from our garden, and it leapt the stream. We thought they were going to capture it and eat it, but we'll never know. The year now is 2010, and me and my older brother, Min-Mins, we're really into building our... That's
Min-Mins.
Min-Mins,
Min-Mins.
that's his brother's name, Min-Mins. We're really into building our Lego city. We would spend hours and hours having fun with Lego figures and building vehicle houses and the big boat and the police station and the fire station and the train that came with the tracks and a switch to make it move, and the farmyard and the schoolhouse, which I had accidentally crushed after losing my balance and falling backwards. Much to Min-Min's annoyance. Bear in mind I was only 7 at the time, and Min-Min's was a year older than me.
Okay.
Wow.
Grown man called me. Anyway, go and carry on, yes.
Aside from that, I was in Min-Min's bedroom upstairs one day, where his whole Lego city is displayed, while he was at school, and I turned on his PlayStation 2. On this infamous day, I played a game called Noddy and the Magic Book. It was a simple preschooler's game in which our hero is on the search for Big Ear's magic book. With the two goblins, Sly and Gobbo, they've stolen it while having to do multiple tasks for the residents of Toyland. Grand Theft Noddy, this is not.
Good. I like
I was sitting on the floor playing this game in front of the TV right next to Min Min's entire Lego city. In this game, I was controlling Noddy, filling up bottles of milk at a factory, catching chickens, avoiding big bouncy balls on the road, whilst driving the red and yellow car, serving customers the right food and drinks at Miss Pink Cat's cafe, and helping Mr. Sparks fit a broken rocket in his garage. There are no lives, but there's a short time limit, which is usually 1 minute and 30 seconds.
Okay.
Yeah.
However, it was the second to last level, similar to the one I've just described, that really got my goat. To add to the exhausting task of memorising which coloured potions Noddy should put on the table next for Big Ears to put in a cauldron to make a spell, Sly and Gobbo are seen under the table and they keep changing the positions of the potions.
So like them.
In a different order very fast. And because I had bad luck at memory puzzles like this, if the order was wrong or if the time limit was up, I'd just get that game over screen. And I got so infuriated, I destroyed Min Min's Lego police station. I did not handle this situation very well, Father Simon. I completely then destroyed the whole city. Crash, bang, wallop. I caused a war in Legoland with my own hands and screamed the house down like Godzilla. Excuse me. About 10 minutes later, my brother Min Min's came back home from school and I was still driving Noddy around Toyland with the PlayStation 2 controller. He saw the destruction that he knew I had caused and he was in silence for 5 seconds and then he cried blue murder. How did this happen? Min Min said. Why did you do this? He shouted and then sobbed his eyes out. At this point, I started to feel very sorry for him. When Mum came in to say, what on earth has happened? Oh, Min Min's, what a calamity. He kept going on about what I'd done, but Mum stopped him and then told a lie. Remember that wild boar at the beginning of the story?
Oh, yes.
She told him the wild boar had come back to our house.
Wow.
A year after the storm had broken, while he was at school, and it was the boar that caused a rampage, destroying his miniature city built with Lego bricks. Min Min's believed the wild boar story, and it took him 15 years to realise it was me.
15 years?
Yes.
Wow.
And then I told him. So forgive me, Father Simon, Father Matt, and the Holy Sisters of Mercy, for I seek forgiveness to my brother Min Min's, who is still building Lego Technic vehicles whenever he gets them for Christmas. I also seek forgiveness from my mother, who helped me through a sticky situation by telling me a lie, which made this situation entirely believable. Who'd have thought it? A story from France, a story with Min Min, story with Lego. What do you say, Sister Susie?
Well, Andy, I hear what you're going to say, and I know what Matt's going to say. He's probably going to say that it's taking 15 years to realise that it was you and not a wild boar is probably makes him a bit thick and therefore forgiven. However, I'm going to say that you actually, I hear you. You were expressed your anger. You destroyed the police station. That is enough. You didn't need to destroy the whole village. And fair play to your mum for keeping you back and trying to keep the peace. But I don't forgive you, Andy. You should have known better.
Blaming a wild boar is a fantastic excuse. Now, Matt is just not going to go on anyone's side when someone is called Min Min's.
Well, indeed, that is an odd name. And Susan's absolutely right. I am going to call Min Min's a bit thick for not working that out for 15 years. But also, it strikes me that this wild boar was a blessing in disguise, wasn't it? Because it meant that from that point on, you could blame anything that happened in the house on the wild boar. How does he not realise that the wild boar hasn't upset anything else? It's just his Lego.
Just got upstairs and trampled over
exactly.
Lego.
There's no thing that boars have with Lego. I don't think so. Anyway, we need someone else to tell us that. So, for all of the Lego reasons and the wild boar, I'm going to forgive.
Okay, so the people's verdict, please. That's what it's all going to boil down to. Do you forgive Andy and his mum, the Lego and the wild boar? 61054 on the text. First word is Simon. Anyway, the people's verdict is in. Here we go.
Not forgiven, says Anna in Abergavenny. Why did he destroy the whole Lego city? Who gets that angry at a game? I know he was young, but he just needs to deal with his anger.
True.
Barry says, I have to forgive this one, as I had a similar situation when I was younger and destroyed some of my brother's model railway. I ended up blaming it on the dog.
Okay.
Tommy in Market Drayton, though, says, absolutely not forgiven. It's not very often I agree with Madame Justice, but Andy is a brat, and shame on the mum for lying thing for him. If it was to save getting him in trouble with his dad, then fair enough. But against a sibling, no way.
I think Tommy has history with this kind of thing.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Steve, for all the verdicts that came in today. Thank you for your confessions. You can send yours too. Confessions at greatesthitsradio.co.uk. We'll have something from the drinks trolley just before the confession. What are you
Yeah.
offering us today? What have you brought up from the pub?
I've brought up non-alcoholic lager called Days Lager, brewed to a traditional Helles recipe, so German beer, and it's 0%.
All right, very nice.
Wow.
Thank you. A couple of pints before we go
Yeah.
home, and that'll be fine.
It will be fine.
will
of
be
course.
fine.
By definition.
0%.
Today's confession, I should say, is, well, if you're eating,
Oh, no.
it might be, it's okay. It's just mildly, icky.
Oh, right, one of those.
Just saying. Icky, yeah. Comes from Jeff. Jeff, I'm just going to leave it at that, if that's all right with you. Stand by for the end, though.
Oh, right.
Father Simon, Matt, Susie, Holly, and the team. My confession goes back to the 1990s when our son was potty training.
Ah,
there
there
you
it
go.
is.
That's where we are.
There
That's
we
where
are.
we are. It's a potty training story. Many parents will have had the experience during this time in their children's lives of carrying a potty with them at all times to get their children into the right habits. It is a stressful time for all, one that brings euphoria for a correctly deposited deposit, and
Yes.
one that brings heartbreak and anguish when the inevitable accidents occur. A successful day can be measured in triumphant toilet trips. A failed day can be measured by the amount of laundry that has been generated. I was out in Middlesbrough town centre one day, and our son uttered those bone-chilling words. He said to me, "Daddy, I need the toilet." Because that's how kids talk in
That is how
Middlesbrough.
kids talk, yeah, it
Australian,
is.
Yeah.
That's right, a little bit of Australian, yes. Well, it's more Australian than Middlesbrough, that's for sure. Anyway, the good news is I was prepared. Of course I was. And in a flash, I produced the potty.
Wow.
Wow.
From a carrier bag,
Okay,
presumably. The only problem was that he sat down on it in the middle of the street
Of
and
course.
did
When
something.
you gotta go.
Yeah, exactly. And he did something there rather more substantial than I had expected. And I, of course, was smiling at passers-by. Hi, don't mind us.
Oh.
Terribly sorry. No, please don't stare. We'll be over shortly. No, not number ones this time. Please carry on. Nothing to see here. Anyway, it seemed to go on for an eternity. But eventually, the business had been completed. I was therefore left holding a full potty in the middle of the town centre and wondering what on earth I could do about it. I could hardly pop into WH Smith to check out the latest newspapers and CD releases
No.
if I had a full potty in one hand.
Yeah, no, don't want that.
I had planned a Woolworths visit too, with a list of items to buy, but again, the contents of my left hand made that impossible. And then I remembered there were some toilets in the bus station. So we went there and I emptied the potty out. What
Good work.
Yes.
Well done.
What a relief to get the job done, as it were.
Yeah. Nice.
After this, I filled a basin with water and washed the potty out. However, when I went across the room to get a paper towel to dry it, a man emerged from another cubicle, saw the basin full of water, and proceeded to wash his hands in it without soap.
Okay.
Well, I stood there dumbstruck, not sure how to say, that basin of water has just been used to clean out a rather dirty potty. I mean,
Okay.
can't you see? It's not exactly crystal clear water, is it? So I left him to finish his routine and depart. So here we go. I do therefore seek forgiveness for leaving him with hands that were possibly more infected
Yeah.
than before he washed them.
Oh, yeah.
But honestly, washing your hands in a random bowl of water that you've seen in a public toilet, really? Here's the sign-off. My crime is all the worse, Father Simon, given that I am now Deputy Director for Infectious Disease Prevention in NHS England.
Oh,
What?
well done. Yeah.
Wow.
So therefore, I mean, you could say this is a very instructive moment
Yes.
in Jeff's life, because before this tale, he was on the road to, I don't know, some life of iniquity, selling shares or something, I don't know.
What?
But now, because of this potty moment, his life was turned around and look at where he is now, Deputy Director for Infectious Disease Prevention at NHS England. Sister Susie, what do you say?
Well, I have lots of things to say about this. There's many questions that are raised. First of all, if you're potty training, what are you doing in the middle of the town centre? Don't you just stay at home until they know what they're doing?
And he had jobs to do. Oh, no, he had things to do in town.
But I just don't know. I don't know. But also, you know, you've very good thinking. Go to the toilets to wash it out. But also, maybe don't leave it in the sink as well. Don't leave a basin full of water in toilets.
Needed
but then also that
towel.
man, what is he doing? Putting his hands in a random basin of water.
Yeah,
I don't forgive any of them. I think they all need to think a bit harder about their decisions.
Okay, they need to try harder. That's what they need to do.
I wonder where that was coming.
Brother Matthew.
Yes, I'm going to forgive. Everyone, I think everyone was fine, apart from your man with the washing his hands in the potty.
Oh.
Not a great
With
idea.
hands more infected.
Yeah, exactly. And also, it's a potty. It doesn't even look like a basin. So yes, but I'm going to forgive Jeff and Mini Jeff. We didn't find the name of Mini Jeff. But you know, he was. We got to go. It took a while though in the middle of the street, but never mind. You know, that's what's happened, and he's done very well. So yes, we've all got those reasons, haven't we?
Yeah.
So I'm going to forgive.
Lots of them.
Okay, well, I think potty training is going to provide quite a few confessions, actually, now I come to think about it. But first of all, people's verdict, please, for Jeff. 61054. First word is Simon. Confession just before the news from Jeff, all about potty training in Middlesbrough. It ended up rather nastily, and Jeff says he is the Deputy Director of Infectious Disease Prevention in NHS England. Anyway, it was good fun, and potty training is a nightmare, of course. What do we get in the people's verdict?
Everyone's forgiving. Georgie says, ultimately, it was the bloke who put his hand in the sink's fault. Who does that? It would have been better if he'd not washed his hands at all.
Correct.
Marnie in Rowley Regis says, definitely forgiven. We had twins. This was so stressful, especially if both wanted to go at the same time. Jeff was in the process of cleaning the potty. The man didn't even use soap when he put his hands in the water in a random public toilet. And Tom in Galashiel says, forgiven. It sounds to me like he's done the healthcare equivalent of joining a monastery to atone for his germy sins and devoted his life to fighting germs.
Well, yeah, it certainly has done that. Okay, Jeff, thank you. A smart speaker is yours. And you can get a smart speaker if your confession is read out. Send it to confessions@greatesthitsradio.co.uk.